Welcome to today's show. All right, we're going to start with something different we've tried before, but I want to try again, which is, you know how the YouTube world is. Whenever we break up these segments in individual segments, you got to do, it's this topic. Here's the title and here's that topic. And I kind of, there's so much though. When we do that, we just talked about like those three subjects. There's so many things I want to touch on, but maybe they don't fill up a whole segment, maybe, right? So in this segment, we're going to look at a bunch of stuff that I want to talk about all at once. I invite you to stick with us. I know it's not our traditional segment, but stick with us. It's going to be a long one too, because I have a ton, including, yes, Trump, economy, that type of stuff. But then we'll get into even Bill Belichick and his 50-year younger girlfriend. And let's talk about some things we don't normally talk about on the show. Let's do it. Starting with this, which we do talk about a lot.
This is a very important report. With all of the hysteria over tariffs, we know that jobs are being created, and it is much better than expected. At 177,000 jobs added to the economy in April, this proves Donald Trump's point that the economy is doing well.
This proves Donald Trump's point. The economy is doing well. And,
bullshit.
And yesterday, whenever he said this was Biden's economy, he really meant that if the jobs report is good, then it's actually Trump's economy. And even though the GDP is contracted and contraction, then it's really because he's doing a really good job. And if you look at the underlying numbers, things are pretty good. If you look at the 3% GDP growth, if you get rid of the inventory, then it's not too bad. And that's Biden's economy, but Trump's economy is Biden's economy. Excuse me. Why did you choke? That was strange. Jaden's having a fit over there. Yesterday, we heard Trump say, this is Biden's economy. And even though we saw for the first time in 3 years a GDP contraction in Q1, it's not that bad because the underlying metrics are pretty strong. To which I said, so you're saying if we exclude the impacts of the tariffs, our economy is pretty strong and the economy is Biden's except for the Trump tariffs? Yeah, that's our argument. So then now with a solid jobs report, because the underlying economy is still pretty strong, but the chaos of the tariffs are so dramatic that it has even impacted the GDP in the way that it has. That, yep, you inherited a strong economy and you're doing everything you can to destroy it so quickly that even GDP Q1, which Biden was president 20 days of, but then the rest of it you just went crazy, and you admit that's import and inventory and government spending related, which is directly you. That's our exact conclusion. But they think that it proves Trump's point. I don't understand it. Maybe she's a little bit biased.
And finally today, I was incredibly honored.
And finally today... So loud. It's a morning show, Maria. It's a morning show. We can hear you. You have a lapel mic.
And finally today, I was incredibly honored to have dinner with President Trump and his key communications director, Stephen Chung, at the White House last night. We dined in the Red Room and discussed his very successful first 100 days in office in his second term, from the secure border to reining in inflation to the rest.
So, reining in inflation? What? Biden did that. Okay, just... Some of you asked whenever I mentioned this on the show, so let me give you a little bit more insight. It's tea time. When I said that we have a moratorium on the show, even though I really am giving credit to Democratic politicians for reaching out to do more interviews than they were doing before, because there's a realization that we need to connect with independent voices, but we're not doing interviews right now or going to soirees or galas or whatever. The reason is because of that. We'll pick it back up, and interviews are great, but sort of I get a little uncomfortable getting really tight with all the people that I'm talking about on a daily basis. I'd rather just be able to talk about it as kind of people over there and not be influenced by, I had coffee with that person the other day, and I got hammered with that person at a soiree. And so that's a part of it, is just kind of take a second to disconnect, talk about things over there, because then sometimes you take it too far and now you're having dinner in the Red Room with Trump and you're supposed to talk in an unbiased manner about him, and clearly you fail. Again, what's fun about what we're trying today is that this connects 0% to what we just talked about, but now we're going to move on to something else. Trump pardons disgraced politician who used money raised for slain police officers to pay for plastic surgery. And this is someone who raised money, as you heard, to build a statue for a slain police officer. then was convicted of wire fraud and has a potential sentence of 20 years. In reality, she spent that money on all personal things, including a little face work. Okay. A little, what do they call it? A little, you know what I'm saying. It's just a little pick me up. And Trump pardoned her. We don't have much information on that at this point in time. Then next, we're getting information on Trump's military parade that he's planning, detailed army plans for a potential military parade on President Donald Trump's birthday in June. Call for more than 6,600 soldiers, at least 150 vehicles, 50 helicopters, 7 bands, and possibly a couple thousand civilians. And last time he tried to plan something like this, the reason it was abandoned was the cost built up to an estimated $92 million. So this will be tens of millions of dollars for a military parade, because this is a very authoritarian thing. You show the imagery of the strength, of the power, of the, right? And it just so happens, though, he has the best plausible deniability, which is that it's the Army's birthday too. Oh, you son of a gun. So on his birthday, he's scheduling this huge military parade that is very sort of similar to what we see in other authoritarian countries, but it's not for his birthday. I mean, that's what they're going to honor, but it's for the Army's birthday, I swear. Then next, a Republican got exposed by a Democrat in a Texas hearing about a bill that was introduced to the Texas legislature to get rid of the furries in the schools, because we don't want kids going to the restroom in litter boxes in schools like it's happening, right? Republican, that's happening, right? Is it happening? Is essentially what you're about to watch.
That students are using litter boxes?
Well, what we do with this bill is we prevent that from happening, but what we don't take out.
Can you name a school where it has been confirmed that students are using litter boxes? This was at the top of your press release.
Let's see if I bring this back a little if the audio will sync. I love that excuse too. Well, we're doing this to prevent it from happening. All right, well then I'm going to introduce a bill to prevent unicorns from eating teachers. Has that happened? No, to prevent it. Huh?
Has been confirmed that students are using litter boxes. This was at the top of your press release. This was mentioned when you introduced this bill, created quite a stir. So I'm asking, can you name a school where it's been confirmed that there are litter boxes being provided to students?
For this purpose, no, I cannot.
Your tweet about this bill was flagged by the app itself under their community notes, and their fact check said sensationalist claims about furries literally behaving as animals and receiving accommodations such as litter boxes have been repeatedly debunked as hoaxes. Is that correct?
It was flagged on, community notes?
Okay. I find it concerning that these types of debunked conspiracy theories are being used by politicians at the highest levels of our government, including in this legislature, who know that they're incorrect. Are you aware that Governor Abbott said, quote, "Kids go to school dressed up as cats with litter boxes in their classrooms"?
Sure.
Are you also aware that when the governor was asked by the Dallas Morning News to name a single school where this happened, he couldn't? And PolitiFact called this a pants on fire false claim started by online rumors?
Okay.
Do you think it's a good use of our time to write laws based on debunked internet conspiracy theories?
Well, this isn't. This piece of legislation before us covers that, among other things that are true.
Tucker thinks that's funny too. We just added that one to the soundboard. You could tell. It's a good one. What are you doing with your life, Stan? Stan Gerdes. Gerds? Not Gerds. Gerdes. Stan Gerdes. Why would you... It's so easy. It's like they don't have Google. It's so easy. You just... Are kids being given litter boxes and then you could just look, is there any example? And the times that schools have been accused of it by right wingers, you can go in and they're not litter boxes because it's made up. And when I tell you that you got to be on the lookout for culture war issues to distract you from more important ones, this is it. That's the perfect example of manufactured controversies that go really, really viral on social media and convince people, man, the left, which I don't know why it's automatically the left's fault that this, if that did happen, that like, whether I did that, I didn't. But the left, we're getting so woke and so new age. And first it was the gays and now it's furries and now they're giving gay furries litter boxes. And it's sort of, that's why you should vote for Republicans. What? I don't know. I'm disoriented. But then it doesn't even happen to be true, because why would it be true? We did watch a video though of someone doing like dog training. Like one good person was the trainer and another adult they had like roll over. Just fun stuff we talked about on the bonus show. If you want to get the bonus show to talk about stories like that, you can click the join button below. Axios reports scooping poop because of dogs, you see? It's a pun. Stephen Miller emerges as top contender for Trump's next national security advisor. Oh, Lord, help us all. That Stephen Miller, if you're not familiar. Then moving on from that, a little bit of a computer glitch. A woman defecated on a car during a road rage incident in Delco. You know how it is. This is how it makes me feel that Stephen Miller is potentially going to be our next national security advisor. It's like as angry as the woman got in a road rage incident leading to her pooping on the car. And as she was being arrested, she had this to say.
Can you tell us what happened?
The lady chased me. She chased me and I asked her not to attack me.
What'd you eat that
She chased you? I have a sickness. You said she chased you? Yeah, she chased me. And I got out and begged her to stop.
Nothing better to do? Listen to her side.
Yeah, no, here's what don't defecate on cars. Like, obviously, she's going to jail, all of those good things. But it's simultaneously kind of impressive that you could go to the restroom on command like that. Imagine if you were, imagine if you were angry at somebody and then you hop up on their car and all these people are looking at you. And still you have the courage to go to the restroom? Like, I need to be at total peace with some nice music going, with some good incense, right? To really be in the right headspace. And she can just do it on command in front of the whole world. Impressive and illegal, but impressive. Bill Belichick, I told you as we fly through some of these stories, he is dating a 24-year-old and he's 70 something, 74, 70, 50-year age gap. Oh, yikes. And he did this interview that we talked about. Maybe we talked about this on the bonus show too, or maybe not. But he kind of got cut off by the girlfriend. She was saying, don't ask that, the host. Well, now we have more information on this. But first, I'll remind you of this exchange.
Do you feel like you were treated with dignity?
Oh, and Bill Belichick is the former Patriots, pretty iconic coach who was a coach for a very long time in the NFL, National Football League, context for everybody, and now is wearing ripped shirts in TV interviews.
Do you feel like you were treated with dignity and respect when you were let go by Robert Kraft?
Yeah, well, it was a mutual decision for us to part ways.
He said fired.
It was a mutual decision.
The other change for Belichick is 24-year-old Jordan Hudson, his creative muse, as he writes in his book.
Make sure that that's the...
Jordan was a constant presence during our interview.
You have Jordan right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that?
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right.
How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No?
No.
It's a topic neither one of them is comfortable commenting on, though Hudson has recently posted about it on Instagram.
All right, so just to sort of, I'm going to save a little bit of this because he gets asked about social media. and it goes really south. But first, TMZ reported on this exchange. We're told outside of that baffling moment that made the final edit, there were numerous other instances of Hudson butting in the girlfriend. Even when the legendary coach was answering questions about football, she would stop and correct him. Our sources say Belichick only arrived at the interview with Hudson. No one from his publishing company, the University of North Carolina, or any other rep was with him, which was a bit of a head scratcher to CBS producers on set at one point. Apparently, some exchange happened and she stormed off. Well, then Bill Belichick releases a statement saying, I agreed to speak with CBS Sunday Morning to promote my new book, The Art of Winning: Lessons from My Life in Football. Prior to this interview, I clearly communicated with my publicist at Simon & Schuster that any promotional interviews I participated in would agree to focus solely on the contents of the book. But then CBS Mornings responded saying, when we agreed to speak with Mr. Belichick, it was for a wide-ranging interview. There were no preconditions or limitations to this conversation. This was confirmed repeatedly with his publisher before the interview took place and after it was completed. So quite the controversy. Let's watch more.
Graham.
You joined InstaFace, as you put it. I love that. There's some great pictures of you and Jordan.
I love that. I love it. I love when you just call things that they're not, right?
Legalized comedy.
Instagram.
You joined InstaFace, as you put it. I love that. There's some great pictures of you and Jordan where you're a fisherman and she's a mermaid. It's charming. It's a different side of you. What's the reaction been like?
What's it been like?
To have these different sort of photos. There's another one where you're doing, I know you're not into meditation or yoga or Pilates. You're balancing Jordan on your feet and she's doing kind of the Titanic pose.
Yeah, so I'm on some of those social media platforms, but I honestly don't follow them.
What he does follow isn't clicks or views, but touchdowns.
Okay, and then it gets back to it. Something's off. It seems like something's really off. Obviously, I'm not really in the habit of, given the show that I do, which is why we thought this would be fun, because normally we don't even talk about this type of stuff, but I'm not in the habit of commenting on famous people's relationships. But obviously the 50-year gap is notable. And then his whole vibe in that interview is notable. And then her whole vibe in that interview is notable. So it was just a train wreck waiting to happen. And his shirt, him calling it InstaFace, him being asked, what was the reaction to those cute photos? And him saying, what?
We'll repeat
kind of. And then someone that has met him before, Dave Portnoy, who's a big sports pundit, said this.
We got to talk about Bill Belichick.
You ripped him.
Okay, I mean, I thought it was elder abuse. Honestly, what I saw there was Dr. Jill. I had Dr. Jill vibes. This overly aggressive younger partner who's like...
Listen, folks, Dr. Jill's not abusing me. What are you talking about, Megan? You're abusing the truth by saying that. It's disgusting. It's terrible.
These are the kind of guys you like to smack in the ass.
I'm going to go post about you with my friend Bill. We're going to say, hello, InstaFace. This is not cool, what Megan said. Dr. Jill's not abusive.
And this, apparently he looked infirm to me, the way he was answering those questions. Man who's being taken advantage of. And all I could think was his family needs to do an intervention and get this woman off of his back. But can you set the stage for us on, what's happening with this guy?
Is that the take? I don't know. What if, okay, ordinarily a much older guy, you're kind of thinking this could be going multiple different directions, right? The guy is old, that could be exploitative to the woman, or the woman's playing the guy could be exploitative to the man. He did seem very disjointed, and she was making the calls, so I don't know what's going on.
I'll start by saying I am a diehard New England Patriots fan.
Yeah, you're from Boston.
Diehard. I love Bill Belichick. He's like my guy. He's brought so many championships. I know him personally. He lives on Nantucket. I live on Nantucket. I've met Jordan, so it's a very awkward thing to see. I also watch that show, CBS Sunday Morning, with the interview. It's like my feel-good show. I just like it. I like nature. There's some politics, whatever, but for the most part, that is a drink your coffee, eat your bagel, feel good.
Yeah, we didn't ask about that. Please move forward. Tell us about Bill.
Show. So I was not expecting this interview. I was squirming. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to think about it. It certainly was awkward. I've heard people say, is she taking advantage of him? Well, he's taking advantage of her. He's sleeping with a very attractive young girl, 50 years younger. I don't know why she's so involved. Like, I really don't. I've met her. She's nice enough. She's running the whole show. I've known that a couple months ago.
How so?
Like, every piece of Bill Belichick business goes through her.
No.
Like, she is basically, she would act like if that was maybe not in a romantic relationship and that's his PR manager.
Or like an agent.
Yeah, nobody's blinking at that. Like, that happens, I'm sure, a lot with celebs, who we're not going to talk about it. Now, you combine it with Bill Belichick, who's gruff with the media and generally always handles himself. It's just a very awkward situation. The age gap is huge, clearly, but she runs the show. There's rumors Hard Knocks for HBO was supposed to do North Carolina. She shut that down. The state.
That's where he's the coach now.
Yeah, he's the coach there. So it's just... it's such a juxtaposition of a guy who seemingly had no media savvy, but was always just straightforward, no time for the media, now having his life run by a 25-year-old. It certainly is eye-opening for a guy like me.
Is this love is love? I don't know. What is this? Is this, what are we supposed to, I don't know what to feel about this, to be honest with you. So let's charge forward. Back to something I'm more comfortable with. 2 stories, same day from Ian Sams, I'm sure totally unrelated. The New York Times reports that the United Arab Emirates pours $2 billion into Trump crypto coins. Bloomberg reports that Trump White House may ease restrictions on selling AI chips to the UAE. The obvious conflict of interest and corrupt potential that we warned of. I saw this video from some Walmart somewhere where a bunch of birds are flying. And I just want to tell you all, if ever I'm caught in a parking lot with birds like this, I'm done. That's it. You'll never see me on the show again. I'm never leaving my house again. I'm done. That's it. Birds freak me out. More importantly, a Trump-appointed judge has ruled that deportations under Alien Enemies Act were unlawful. A Trump-appointed federal judge ruled on Thursday that Trump administration unlawfully used the Alien Enemies Act in deporting alleged migrant gang members to an El Salvador mega prison, allowing the president to unilaterally define the conditions when he may invoke the AEA and then summarily declare that those conditions exist, would remove all limitations to the executive branch authority under the AEA. Exactly what we've been saying. Choosing when he gets to define when we're in wartime, so then he gets to define when he can throw out due process. That completely throws out so many of the checks and balances that our government is supposed to have. That led to one of our favorites over on CNN, Scotty J, struggling with basic law.
Take care of it, and these individual judges are overstepping. If what you're essentially saying is that the president, who is the commander in chief, cannot determine when we are being invaded, an individual district court judge is going to decide that? No, thank you.
Can I just ask a simple question? Who gets to decide whether the United States is at war?
The president, in my opinion.
No.
If we're being invaded, I want the commander in chief to know.
Scott, no. It's actually the Congress.
You're asking if we're being invaded.
I'm asking.
You want to call Congress and see if we're being invaded?
I'm asking a basic constitutional
We'll be taken
question.
over before they ever get to the committee.
Jaden noticed this. Watch. I'll just mute it for a second, then we'll go back to listening. Scott Jennings is doing this really weird thing where he kind of like juts his eyes back and forth between the person that he's talking to and the camera. And you were saying you think it's for him to see if the camera's like on him, because it shows a red light when your camera's being taken. And so he's like constantly checking to see if he's the one on camera. Watch his eyes right now. Watch, ready? Ba. He just keeps checking the camera. Am I on camera? Ugh.
asking a basic constitutional
We'll be taken over
question.
before they ever get to the committee.
Who gets to decide whether the United States is at war? The answer is Congress.
I'm talking about if we're being
invaded. When the president says we're at war, he has to
show we're actively
prove,
at war,
and
not
really
a
what he needs to do is go to Congress.
Well, you guys
and
discuss it in committee. We'll let in another 20
Wait a
minutes.
second, though. I thought the genius of our system was that we weren't beholden to one guy's opinion. That the genius of the American system of government was that we had 3 co-equal branches, and in those co-equal branches, decisions were made about how we go about doing things. Now, we want to tear that to shreds so that we can kowtow to one.
Yeah. I mean, all that Scott has is sort of this fine, well then, fine. But he doesn't actually state that he thinks that Abby Phillips' articulation of the law was incorrect. He's just going, well, oh, so then you think that maybe it'll take too long then. But that doesn't debunk our system of government. And no, Trump doesn't get to just unilaterally decide we are in a state of war, and thus for an indefinite period of time, I can do whatever I want, martial law, whatever. If this were a Democrat, Scott, you would be freaking out. And we know that. And then another pro-Trump figure was very animated about this.
Because they're not citizens. We do not owe them the same thing. It has to mean something to be an American.
Batia, hold on a second. I get the passion, but I really think it's important to really scrutinize what you just said. The idea that people do not have the right to the processes of the law just because they are not citizens is your opinion, but that is not how the law works. You know that, right?
The president has the right to deport people.
Okay, answer my question. You understand that is not how the law works. That it is not true that just because your citizenship status does not mean that you do not get the same rights to legal process as everybody else in this country.
Everyone should come here. Everyone should come here.
I think that the country. I'm answering your question. I am answering your very specific question.
Okay.
I think the country right now is very split. In fact, I just saw a poll yesterday from WIC, which was put out by 2A.
Do you see? She just starts saying stuff, not answering the question. Yes, we afford due process to people, even when they've broken the law, even when they have, they're not a citizen or they're not a lawful immigrant. We still afford them on U.S. territory. They're subjected to U.S. law, which provides protections for people so that we know we're punishing the right people and we're deporting the right people to prisons. And that has to be a protection we provide. Otherwise, it's really sad talking about this because they're so quick, because Trump says so, to throw out such an American principle. I talked about Scott Jennings, and you saw him there too, going, fine, let everybody in then. That's not what we're saying, and you know it. He posted something big is coming. Stay tuned. And it's a photo of him and Trump and a blurred out photo that Trump is holding. And Scott Jennings is looking very sweet. You look sweet, Scott. That's what I'm saying. You look nice. You look sweet. You got your best little vest on. You got a little button on. It's so good. It's cute. It's sweet. You look very spiffy for Daddy Trump. You look very spiffy. Apparently, what the Stay Tuned is about, we won't know for sure until the actual announcement is made, but is that Scott Jennings is considering running for Mitch McConnell's seat since Mitch McConnell is stepping down in Kentucky for Senate. So this whole arc we've seen from Scott of not MAGA to super MAGA to whatever the heck he is now, it seems maybe it was in pursuit of power, which is often the answer. I don't know how this guy becomes senator, though.
Really, I've watched him for years. I don't know him, but he likes Trump. Come here, Scott. Oh, CNN, this is the end of Scott. No, who cares? Don't worry, we'll take care of you, Scott. Scott Jennings, really great.
Thank you. Michigan. We were flying in here today, and I said, look at these farms. I got to get a farm in Michigan, because when you own as many libs as I do, you got to put a place to put them all. Thank you all very much.
It just gets better. Gets better every time. Moving from that, Trump knows a lot. Hey, He does. He knows a lot about the Declaration of Independence. Cut it out. Stop it. He does. Watch.
And of course, you have the Declaration of Independence.
What does it mean to you?
Well, it means exactly what it says. It's a declaration. It's a declaration of unity and love and respect, and it means a lot. And it's something very special to our country.
Lincoln's portrait up.
Right. Sir, what does the Declaration of Independence mean to you? You know, I would say that a declaration, I would say it's a declaration of not being dependent, but instead how maybe you would express to someone the way in which that in relation to them, you as you are independent, like you would be declaring that you're an individual by yourself, independence. I love declaration of love and unity. It's like kinda, but also like we were kind of pissed about something too when we wrote that. Meanwhile,
that's President Trump's agenda.
Yeah. You could show this, Jaden. This is Chris Wright, the Energy Secretary.
That's President Trump's agenda. Secretary.
It's too good. It's too good. We got to get that on a soundbite. All right. Patrick Bet-David. Do you see what I mean that I mentioned earlier? Where would all this fit in if I try to do one topic? It's just, there's so much. It's coming out of my ears. I want to talk about it all. Patrick Bet-David gave he's a MAGA guy, but he gave his first 100 days review of Trump. And I got to give him credit. He wasn't just cheerleading.
Let's see how he's done. By the way, just to be fair, today is 99. Tomorrow is 100. But we're a little bit ambitious. You know, as ambitious people, why don't we do the day before? Everybody else will do it. And unless if tomorrow, you know, Putin and Ukraine go to peace, Hamas, Israel, Iran figure it out. The tax plan is launched and it's lowering taxes. Tariffs with China scored away. Unless if everything gets scored away, our grade today is for the 100 days. Rob, this is Brett Baer.
All right, and then we'll jump forward to a different part here where he gives his staff gives them, then he goes.
The way I'm grading this, okay? To me, if you look at the way we grade everybody that's here with us, it goes off of A. A stands for attitude. I love his attitude. I think he's having fun. I think he's playing loose. I give him an A for attitude. Effort, he's working his ass off. Nobody is sitting there wondering if this guy's working.
A for attitude. A for ass. He's working his ass off. He'll get to the negative stuff, but I don't love he's letting loose. Is that what you want a president? I just love his attitude. He just doesn't give two flying.
A for attitude. Effort, he's working his ass off. Nobody is sitting there wondering if this guy's working or not, period. Teamwork, his team is working very well together collectively, better than what it was the first time around. Not a lot of people have been fired. It's not been as chaotic as it was before in regards to how the team was. Before, you're like, you couldn't know who to trust, any of that stuff. And then you have innovation, creative, some of the stuff that they're proposing, Greenland, all this other stuff. I give it.
All right. So what he's setting up to, this is what happens whenever you're a Trump supporter, but you need to criticize Trump. It's like you got to do a love sandwich. So it's like, I love Jaden. You have so many strengths and you do so many things well that I guess what I would want you to work on is being better at everything. It's like that, where not really. Your results are great. He's about to say, all right, now let's get to R for results, which is kind of the whole thing, right? A for attitude, C for creativity, teamwork. It's like all these really abstract, squishy things. And then he gets to results and he's like, not great.
And A as well for that. But results, it's C minus. To me, their grade right now is C minus on results. First 100 days. When you go purely with results, we were told day one, there's going to be peace with Russia and Ukraine. It's day 100. There's no peace there.
It's worse. They're fighting.
Of course. I thought there was going to be a deal being done there. I thought the mineral deal was going to be gone. It's taken too long. The negotiation with Greenland, we needed that, or we needed Ukraine, or we needed something with minerals. Not done. Panama was supposed to close. Hasn't closed yet. Is America safer than ever before in the last 4 years? Absolutely. It's safer border. People are not coming across. Tom Homan's doing his job there. No problem. Kash Patel, On day one, Glenn Beck is here.
Yep.
In 2 weeks, I'm telling you, in 2 weeks, nothing happened there. Okay, and Glenn Beck was just with the president last week doing an interview in the Oval Office together. Okay, you got Epstein stuff, people that voted that wanted Epstein. What happened with that? It's not out yet. Are we supposed to forget about it? There was a massive community that specifically voted because they wanted people to be held accountable. Fauci, is there going to be accountability with Fauci? We don't know yet. The trade war, on how chaotic it is right now, someone's got to close the deal, whoever it is. If someone's got to get on a flight and go and negotiate, someone's got to do it. Next one, threats. When you threat Iran, if you do this, I'm telling you, Hamas, if you do this, I don't want to see my president keep threatening without being able to deliver on the threats. The more and more you keep saying threat, and nothing's happening, what are we looking at? I'm not okay with that. So in regard, Tom.
24-hour Gaza.
Yeah.
On that same list.
In regards to results, it's a C-. And I voted for this guy in 16, in 20, and 24. Gladly. Happy I did. And it's a C- today. I hope right now, and it's not, again, remember, it's not because of attitude. It's the best attitude he's had. He's
I got that.
Not because of effort, not because the team's not working together, not because they're not being innovative, not because America's not safer. But there's so, by the way, this C- within 30 days could turn into an A+.
Yeah,
This
no,
C-
we know. And then the love on the other bookend. I told you it was going to be a sandwich. It turned into a sandwich. I love that. I got to do that. I love that so much. You create a bunch of, what are those metrics for? Attitude, effort, teamwork, and innovation. Their attitude's great. Their effort's great. The teamwork, they're working cohesively. And the innovation. But what do all those things, what are they supposed to produce? All right, let's get my 5th point results. Trash. Everything else is great, though. I gave you 4 points of positivity. Okay, don't be mad at me, audience. I ranked him on 4 things great. 1 part was bad. The 1 part just happened to sum up his entire presidency and discredit the 4 positive points. No, but I do appreciate him being honest. Now, he referenced like Fauci and stuff. What Fauci? What do you got to do with Fauci? But I do agree that even on their conspiratorial claims of the deep state's going to be exposed on this and this and this, even as far as the Trump administration has gone, they haven't even gotten those things accomplished. Like, we're going to expose the Epstein list. Interesting. Media reports Tucker Carlson calls on Trump to rescue Russell Brand from political and absurd UK rape trial. How would Trump rescue Russell Brand from a UK rape trial? What is this? We talked about in more depth the Brand case and his denial in particular. But why is there this knee-jerk, as long as someone's on my side, I'm going to defend them based off of very concerning rape allegations? Like, it must be a deep state conspiracy. I've made some friends in this industry, and I think they do great work. If they were accused of rape, I'd just assess, like I would with anyone else, the credibility of the claims, and then say this needs to see its day in court, and let's see if they're able to defend themselves, and if it's a compelling case, or if the evidence is overwhelming enough for a conviction. It wouldn't be, oh, well, they're fighting for my cause, so we need to save them. Bizarre. Very, very bizarre. Bernie Sanders was asked about Chuck Schumer saying Democrats are united. Bernie disagrees.
Do you guys have a cohesive message in how to deal with Trump 100 days in? This is one part of what he had to say in response to that.
Our caucus is united. Look at this. The Republicans on this upcoming reconciliation bill, which sets the funding for the whole government, they're fighting with each other. Compare that to the Democrats. We're totally united. We're totally united in my caucus.
What Democrats lack right now is a vision for the future.
I'm assuming you're...
I think that last guy was right. Not the other guy, but the guy was on last.
So, it's not surprising. You believe you're right and Senator Schumer's wrong.
I love the Bernie comedy.
On here.
You need an agenda. Did you hear? United around what? Are we united around guaranteeing health care to all people? I am proud, by the way, that the Democrats supported an amendment that I offered to raise the minimum wage to $17 an hour. That's a start. Are we united in tackling a corrupt campaign finance system? Now, you tell me, you're an observer of these things. How do you deal with politics in America without understanding that billionaires play an enormously destructive role in both political parties.
Well, and you've been on this oligarchy tour, fighting the oligarchs across the United States. I'm going to show you the crowds in a moment because I want to get to that. But Senator Elise, a Democrat who's new to the Senate, said that she doesn't think that that's helpful, that that's a good tactic for people like you to be using. James Carville was saying.
Oh, we have some glitch. But yeah, we've heard Bernie respond to the criticism of the oligarchy thing. It's interesting. What there are even plenty of things that I might disagree with Bernie on, but your criticism is the thing they've been doing that's been getting more excitement around two Democratic figures than any other Democrat is experiencing. Clearly is tapping into some message that resonates about pushing back against the oligarchy. And you're saying, as Elise Stefanik did, who, as I said, I like her, but that's not a word people are going to understand or resonate, or whatever. They're clearly, maybe you just go, maybe you don't love every aspect of it, but there's a lot there that's really resonating and you should learn from. And then, Chuck Schumer saying Democrats are united. People are united in opposition to Trump, but we need a clear, concise policy message. And I don't know. Chuck has, when he goes through actual policies on paper, it's like, yeah, okay, that's good stuff. But the way that he then goes on to try to advocate for it, as we saw in a different segment, where his head was down and he's talking about writing strong letters, it just doesn't resonate. The New York Times reports Stefanik, so the Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, was going to become the UN ambassador. And then, kind of suddenly, she had to withdraw that attempt. And apparently she blames Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, and now they're not on speaking terms for some reason. Something he did behind the scenes kind of messed that up for her. And I bring this up because interesting little inside DC gossip, right? Oh, she's mad at the speaker. I think she lost her leadership position, and she is now staying in Congress, and she was imagining herself becoming the UN ambassador. But then I'm assuming the pressure was Mike Johnson was seeing through these nominations and through deaths in Congress, and then these special elections were coming up, his majority whittled down more and more and more. So maybe he put on pressure on Trump, or at least to no longer be the nominee, because then she would also have to resign her position in Congress and the majority would go down even more. And it just one little anecdote that was in this article. Apparently the UN ambassador gets to live in a $15 million penthouse in New York City. Oh, I see why she's mad. Okay. I was really looking forward to doing work to further the American agenda on the world stage.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Okay. Me too. What? I mean, that's a little much now. And it's a very supposedly cushy position compared to a lot of the other things that you could be selected for, and compared to being a congressperson. And so then now she has to go back to her comparatively janky office, just she's back being colleagues with Lauren Boebert, and she's thinking, no, I was gonna be in the bougiest bougie penthouse, and it all was, her hopes were dashed, as this article says. Cabinet dream dashed. Sorry, Elise. Bummer. That is it for this mega jumbo segment. I'm curious to hear what you think, because some people like to watch really long content, and some people are like, oh, I need it to be under 15 minutes or something. But I don't want to just, like, when certain topics lead really well, oh, that would be an interesting title, or what everyone's talking about, I want to talk about them. But then I end up feeling like in one day I talked about a very limited number of topics. This was a fun way to kind of race through a bunch of random things that aren't standalone stories, but fascinating nevertheless. So tell me your thoughts on that. And if you're thinking that's not enough content somehow, we do a bonus show. And even if you don't want to watch it, it's a good way to support the show by clicking the join button below.